don't even have us
No,
on.
it wasn't that
Because
funny.
you got hit your funny bone and you're dying.
It hurt.
Welcome to another episode of Unchained with me, Paul Gomez.
And me.
Who are you?
Batman.
You're not Batman.
Dylan Moore.
And we got a great show for you today, an amazing guest, an inspiration to me. But before we get on to that, I do want to speak about one thing that's been happening in the Fort Worth area. They had a few break-ins at a few local comic book stores. We want to send our support out to those comic book stores, and we hope that the perpetrators get caught. And we hope that everything comes out fine. Of course, you hate to see or hear about anything like this happening to areas, especially whenever a comic book store is trying to put food on their tables and try to make it on their own as well. So again, we hope the best for everything to come out better. Having said that, we want to talk about a great comic book store that is sponsoring us, and that is
Geek Out. Burleson and Mansfield.
That's right. 2 convenient locations, great big stores. Make sure to check them out if you're in the DFW area. Don't miss out because they are amazing stores to go to.
Amazing. A lot of great people.
Let them know that we sent you.
Yeah. We're their favorites.
And one other thing before we bring our guests out, I want to talk about a few indie books that are on Kickstarter at the moment, including one from a very good friend of ours, Gemini Force by Terry Parr. It has reached its goal, but of course, every little bit helps. So if you go check it out, you can see that it's got some great work, an amazing concept. Go to Kickstarter and check out Gemini Force.
And this next one, Dad gets to say. Because he
Yeah.
likes to say the title so much.
I gotta admit, I'm probably gonna mess this up, and I apologize. The Isdor is, I've heard it said.
Islider.
I've heard it said like 100 times, and it's a great book, especially if you like steampunk, a little bit more interesting than the average everyday kind of book. It is on Kickstarter today, so definitely please go check these great Kickstarters out. Now, I want to mention that this next guest is not only an inspiration to me. I have been watching his show since the beginning of my comic creating career. Before, that's right. Yeah. Because I mean, practically, if I didn't watch his show, I probably wouldn't have made comics. I want to show this one great moment. And here we are, our special guest,
Drumroll, please.
Bueller.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Fine then. He doesn't like you enough to have a drum roll. Can you believe that?
I haven't seen that fat picture of me for a long time.
How much have you lost? Do you know?
Probably since that photo, probably around 70 or 80 pounds.
Wow. And that's because you've been out there doing that whole van life and doing the bike thing. You got an electric bike, don't you?
Yeah, so it's called a lazy man's bike is what those are, because you just press a button and then it goes, because I'm not doing that pedaling stuff. That pedaling is for kids. So I just sit there and let it go.
Now, if people don't know you, I mean, you have 2 YouTube channels that have thousands of followers on there. You have been a spokesman on Whatnot. You are currently a spokesman for Dynamite. Is that correct?
Yeah, Dynamite is kind of my big sponsor that I have. Then I have other contracts with other companies as well that I kind of promote, like the Comics on Coffee, Black Box Comics is another publisher, Bird City Comics. All those three have been with me for a very long time, almost since year 2. And but yeah, I was with Whatnot for about a year. Didn't renew a contract with them. Dynamite kind of stepped up and took their spot, and I've been with Dynamite. I think in April will be about a year, if I'm not mistaken. So
now, yeah, I do want to get into a little bit of how you became a sponsor for all these great shows, or if you went to them or if they came to you. But before that, I mean, it's like you had to build your YouTube show, and you didn't just go on there and start videotaping, as per se. I mean, you did, but you learned like the thumbnails, and you learned how to do stuff and advertisement and all that other good stuff, right?
Yeah, it was all new. It wasn't, I didn't have like a background in doing YouTube by any means, so it was all somewhat new. I did my father, my dad Tom. He was in the television production industry way back in like the 80s and 90s and stuff. That was all tape. It wasn't digital by any means, so it was a different world. But I kind of grew up in a studio and kind of knew a little bit of stuff like that as far as editing and things. But when I started, and you probably saw that video I did about my journey and stuff like that, and it was literally just kind of by accident, just kind of like I don't really have much to do. Let's just fill the day with something, and I started making some videos, and people liked them, and personality goes a long way. I think you have to be likable and genuine. And I'll be honest, the first year when I was doing YouTube, you meet all sorts of different people. And YouTube back then was a different beast than it is right now. And some people you learn from, and some people you learn what not to do. And there was just as many of those people out there that I learned, okay, I'm not going to do what they did because they just screwed up and or whatever. And then you learn from the people that know what they're doing, and you take every slice and you kind of put it all together, and that's kind of what happened. So I can't complain because like I said in my video, it's YouTube kind of saved my life. It gave me some purpose, so it's kind of nice.
And that's great story. Like, I mean, we're starting our YouTube, so we've heard. I mean, I've talked to you about it, and I've talked to a lot of people. I know that a lot of people think that they can just come on and not really have to worry about anything else. I wanted to ask you, if I was brand new starting out today, what would your best advice be to growing a YouTube channel?
I've been asked that a few times, and many times over the years, and it's constantly changes. To be honest, some of the strategies I used to use in the past, they don't work sometimes, and I don't know why that is. But the main thing, and I tell people all the time, you gotta do something that people want to watch. I mean, people want to watch something. It's information. People want to know what books are coming out next week. And so let's make a video highlighting those books that come out next week. And that's one of my longest running videos. That video serves a purpose. It brings the term value to the screen. There's a reason why people will watch that. So I tell people, if you're looking to do a channel, and I'm not a huge guy as far as doing live shows. I don't do a lot of live shows myself, and I do with Dynamite and their stuff. They kind of pay for that time, and I appreciate that. But for myself, I built my channel on pre-recorded, edited videos to the point. It's like, here's the subject matter. We're in it. We're talking about it. We're going, and it's topical. And that's kind of what you have to do. And I work with there's another channel called The Experience, which is kind of an offshoot of Dynamite and stuff. Nick Barucci's behind it with a bunch of other people. And I've told them, because we have conference calls and stuff, I say, hey, man, I know you guys are doing a bunch of live stuff, and that's great. But you got to don't count out the edited video. Go do edited video. So on Thanksgiving, this past Thanksgiving, a few months back, they weren't doing any live shows that day. I said, hey, let me do a video for you guys. I'll give it to you. You can upload it on your channel. Here's the thumbnail. Here's the tags. Here's the title. Just leave it the way it is and let it go. And so they do that. They put it up there on Thanksgiving. No other videos that day. It's their number one most watched video because it serves a purpose. It's a video about information that people want to know. And I told them, I said, it'll be your number one watch video within the first month. And they've been out now for 3 years, and that's their number one watch video on that channel is that video right there. It's just a little bit different. So I tell people all the time, make a video for information that people are curious about knowing, not stuff that you want to know, not stuff that Paul wants to know or Dylan wants to know. You make a video about what the people watching want to know about. That's what you make a video for.
Now, I got to say, and I do want to move on to other subjects because you are an array of knowledge. But the one thing that I've seen that you did on your weekly, the Comics with Bueller, Comics and Coffee, was, even though it was edited and done and put on there, you were live in the chat, and you don't see a lot of people doing that. Was there a reason that you chose to do that, or I mean, did you see other people doing that? Because I haven't seen other people.
No, I mean, I don't think. For one, I premiered that video. That was called a premiere, and I think the premieres have kind of faded out. People just kind of bypass the premiere video; they just do a live video.
Right.
But I didn't want to do the Comics and Coffee live. I wanted it to be edited with all the graphics and look really cool and have all that stuff. So when I played them at 5 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast, I was awake at 5 o'clock in the morning in that chat because I knew people would be watching. I want to be a part of that. That was very important for me to be there and a part of that story. And that's kind of what it was. So every morning at 5 o'clock, I was up, I was awake, and I was in that chat saying good morning to everyone who said hello. And because it was kind of a morning show for everyone to kind of get together and kind of just start the week out. And especially because it was during COVID as well, and people were just sitting at home looking for something to do. And that was a really popular show. And side note, since you brought that up, Bob and I are doing a live show on Monday, and we're going to be reminiscing. We're going to be reminiscing about the Coffee and Comic show live together, because people always ask about Bob, how is he doing? I'm like, Bob, we need to do something together so people can say hi. So we're going to do a live show Monday night, reminisce about our good times in the Coffee and Comics video. And then something I'm going to do, because we're not doing more videos because I'm not there. He's kind of retired as well. And but I am going to re-release some of our like top 10 Comics and Coffee videos, kind of the retro style. And because there's a whole nother audience that never saw them before. Here, it's been 2 years since we did them. So
now I do have a clip from one of the shows. I did want to show it at a certain time, but this seems like a great time. If you don't mind, let me show that.
Sure,
clip.
go ahead.
Can we do that?
Yeah, which one?
That one.
This one?
No.
Uh-oh, they got multiple.
Yeah.
Technical difficulties. If it works.
Listen,
Yeah.
You gotta. This.
All right, let's see it.
Oh. You don't hear it?
There's no crying on the Bueller bus.
There you go. Because let's get into the title tells you everything you need to know about the book. It gets into PTSD.
What do you mean?
I think you missed.
Inside of.
Did I?
Yeah.
Somebody who's gone through war, who's a veteran.
It was supposed to be like, is it good?
The artist,
We'll back
Oh, it's okay.
You'll find them.
Go on.
Good?
Go back to
Yeah,
Steve.
I know, but not.
Yeah.
No.
Where you go?
I'm trying to show you guys running here.
Where do we go? There you go.
We're back.
That was part of the show. It was supposed to be the part where you asked him if he liked it, and he was like, "It's phenomenal."
Hey, Bob, was it good?
Was it good?
Was that what you're looking for there, Paul?
No, not that part. It was like asking him what he thought of it, and he said that the book was. He was like, it's hard to say if it was good, but it was phenomenal for what it was. And I was going to talk about how I appreciated so much that, I don't think I asked for a review, but y'all reviewing it, both of y'all reviewing my book, and probably will always be a highlight of my career. Because like I said, you were an inspiration that helped me on this path.
Well, I remember that. We both did enjoy it. I remember I gave Bob a copy so he could read it as well and stuff. And, it deals, like I said, I remember when we talked about your book, and we said, it deals with a subject matter that's not great. It's not like a fun subject matter to deal with. So the way you handle that subject is very delicate.
Right.
And it's not a book like I want to go revisit, and reread over and over and over. That's not what the impact of that book is. The impact of the book is you read the book, you kind of think about it in your mind, and kind of makes a statement, and you process that statement that you have. And that's what it was. And you did a really good job on it. So we really, really enjoyed that.
Thank you so much. Now, like I've mentioned to a lot of people, I tell them to go check out your YouTubes all the time, but you have not just one, but two YouTubes with a massive following. Why is it that you decided to do two? And can we talk about van life a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, the other YouTube, I don't really do too much on that channel. I have it there, and I put some videos on there here and there. A lot of times I'll put the videos on my Bueller channel first, and then delete them and put them on my other channel just because it fits over there better. I like, if people aren't familiar with me, I live in a bus. I literally travel the country in a bus, something I've been doing now for about 2 years. And I go to comic shops, I go to conventions, I go camp out in the desert and stuff, and just, it's my other passion. Obviously, comics I love, but I also like to travel and I like to go do things. And so I kind of combine the two. And, so that other channel has been multiple different things over the years. Like it was just a hangout channel for a little bit. Then I changed it to like Bus Life with Bueller, but then Van Life with Bueller, and then a whole bunch of different names and stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I people know I travel and stuff, but I post a lot of stuff on my Instagram. Like if you look at my Instagram, there's very little comic book content on there over the last year and a half. It's mainly just pictures of me climbing a mountain or whatever. So that's kind of my outlet for my my travel. And maybe down the road I might do more van life content. I want to. I have a list of video ideas. I literally have 50 video ideas for that channel I wrote down about 6 months ago. And I might do it someday. I don't know. I really enjoy my time to myself. And my life is two extremes. I go to MegaCon where there's hundreds of thousands of people, and I hang out for a week with just, these massive amounts of people and enjoy my time. And then a week later, I'm literally out in the middle of the desert with nobody around for 50 miles. And I enjoy both the same. And I get a little tired of one, I just go do the other. I get tired of that one, I go do the other. So,
so in doing this van touring thing, I think I've heard you say that you were trying to get into Guinness Book World Records of visiting every LCS in the United States. Are you still doing that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought it was like a race when I decided to do it. It's not a race. It just, I'm traveling. When I travel, I go and I'll go hit this state. Like I've been to Colorado, and I've almost hit every shop in Colorado. I've been to Montana. I've hit every shop in Montana. I've hit every shop in a handful of states and stuff. And I've been to a lot. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot more I still have to go to. So say over the last 2 years, I've been to maybe, let's say, 600 shops in 2 years. Okay. Well, there's only 700 and some odd days in a year. So you do the math, that's a shop. That's more than a shop every day and a half or something like that. So, I mean, I've been to a lot, so I got plenty of time to go. This is my journey on traveling is, I plan it out to be 5 years. So I'm on the third year, started the third year this month. So, and I've already seen about half the comic shops in America. So that's pretty good, I think.
Right. Yeah. Now, what was your favorite so far?
My favorite shop?
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the Deep, which is Robbie's shop in Alabama, Huntsville, Alabama. I thought his shop was really cool. His shop had something I've never seen before. They had shopping carts at the door. And I was like, I saw someone in there pushing a shopping cart. I said to Robbie, there's a homeless guy in your shop. And he goes, no, we have shopping carts at the door. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And I thought that was really cool. There's another one in Florida called Yancey Street that I thought was really cool. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. One in Denver called Hall of Justice Comics. I enjoyed that one. And then there was another one, I think it was in Denver as well, that was almost like it was a comic shop, but like a Psycho Circus type thing. It was really really elaborate.
That video that you did of that.
Yeah, and I thought that was really neat. They had like some kind of weird museum in there and stuff. And I've been to Mile High Comics as well. That was kind of an experience. I wouldn't like buy any books there because of the prices and stuff. But to go.
I heard about that. I still want to go one day.
Yeah. And I didn't go there to buy anything, and everyone was like, oh, look how expensive they are. I go, yeah, it's kind of the joke. They're kind of mile high. So, I mean, even the dollar books cost like $4. So,
Now, I know you did go to Geek Out, which is our sponsor, but I also went with you to Collected Comics here in Fort Worth and Pastime Comics in Haltom City, which was great to introduce you to those comic store owners. I
Yeah.
appreciate being able to hang out with you that day. So, what questions do you have?
How did you start into comics? Like,
Hold on, what?
What brought you into comics?
Women.
Women in fortune, right?
No, that's the opposite answer. Not enough women got me into comics. No, but as a kid, I just liked the artwork. I'd see the books at the grocery store. I kind of grew up in a little small farm town when I was younger, and they had a little spinner rack with the books on there, and I kind of look at the art. I didn't like reading very much. I just liked looking at the pictures. And Avengers was one that I kind of liked as a kid, and I had a bunch of Bugs Bunny stuff, Looney Tunes books and like Dennis the Menace and stuff. And then when I finally started getting like Hulk and like Avengers and a few things like that, really kind of hooked me. And then I read somewhere that like some of them were worth money. I was like, what? I was all excited. Then I started looking. Speaking of Mile High Comics, that yellow insert that was inside the books back in the 80s and stuff like that. Paul, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But it used to tell you the prices of books. And I used to look at that and say, oh, I have that book. Not really understanding like what condition meant and stuff like that, because I just roll them up and stick them in the, I didn't care and stuff. And then I read somewhere where, if it doesn't have a barcode, it's old and it's worth money. So I like found a book. It was Commandy at like a thrift store, and it didn't have the barcode, and I thought I hit the lottery. It was only worth like $1, but for me, I was like, it doesn't have a barcode. And I was all excited. I think I kept that book for many, many years. But just the artwork in general.
So you did a lot of spec videos, and I see one of the last videos that I guess you did that was spec is you went into a store, spent $50, and seeing if you got your value on your video, pulling them out. Amazing. Did an amazing job. Dylan is trying to start an eBay store, or starting an eBay store, hardest working kid in comics on eBay. Would you have any advice for him? Or
words of wisdom? People
starting spec purchasing?
People that are trying to make money on comics? Is that what you're asking me?
Sure. Yeah.
God, I'll be honest, and I'm not trying to discourage anyone. The market right now, there's so many sellers. There seems to be just an enormous amount of people selling books in every scenario, online, offline, Instagram, eBay, whatnot. I mean, you name it. The opportunity to sell books is probably easiest that it's ever been. Now, with so many sellers, well, who's buying? So I mean, it's an uphill battle as compared to what it was maybe a few years ago. And honestly, that's kind of why I haven't made an exclusive cover myself for over a year, and I have no desire to try to sell books anymore, because I know that like I said, so many people are doing it. The only thing I can say, if you are selling books, obviously, and I've said this before, don't sell it based on the market, what the market is going. If the market is selling for $20, okay, and you paid $5 for it, sell it for $10, okay? Sell it for $10. Don't just be okay with making a smaller profit, but move it instead. A lot of people will take a book and they'll sit on it and like, oh, it's $20. I'll wait till somebody buys it for 20. Well, everyone's selling it for 20, so there's multiple options, but not everyone's selling it for 10. So if you get a good deal on it, pass it along to your customer, and don't worry about the value of the book. Just pass it along. If you get a book that's it costs you $5, and the book is worth $100, sell it for 20. Okay, and you made $15. And don't think anything of it. Don't say, oh man, I could have made more. Maybe, but you know what? You tripled your money, just like that.
And you got a good customer that's happy about things too.
Yeah. And that's how when I was young and I used to sell books, because actually when I was a teenager, I used to sell books at conventions and stuff. And that's how I sold my books. I didn't sell them based on how much the value was. I sold them based on how much I paid for them. So if I paid $1 and it was going for $5, I'd sell for $2. And I doubled my money. And that's kind of how I did business when I sold books. And I would be the guy at the convention that would sell out. I'd go there with 10 long boxes and walk out with just a wad of cash and 10 empty boxes. And I did that many times when I was a young kid and stuff. So that's kind of what I recommend doing. But have fun, man. Have fun.
Any other questions?
Let me think.
Okay, while you're thinking. So, whenever I sat down with you, me and you had that lunch, dinner, whatever it was, I was surprised that, yes, a date. I was surprised that you were so concerned about the industry, because it doesn't seem like most creators or influencers or people that I meet are really concerned about the industry as opposed to what they're doing. What would you have to say to creators or the industry to make things better?
It's I got to give credit to Dynamite for embracing the influencer, I guess, if you want to call myself that. They're one of the only publishers that kind of embraced it, kind of went after the influencers, pop culture philosophers, Robbie, Gem Mint, myself, a handful of others. And I think that goes a long way because it gets their name out there more. And I think more publishers should probably do that as well. Why it's important to me that it succeeds is because, like I said earlier, I don't sell anything. I'm not there to sell my own stuff. I do well if they do well. Okay. I do well if Dynamite does well. I do well if Black Box does well. I do well if Comics on Coffee does well because they're selling their product. I'm just kind of helping promote what they got going on. So I don't want. It's important for them to do well because I do feel as though this industry doesn't get as much publicity as it should, and it's been around a very long time. And it was so funny because I just had a conversation. I just hosted a couple panels at MegaCon, and I was hosting the one of the creators that was on there. I'm forgetting his name, but he's like the writer of comics, and he does shows. Like he did the Arrow show on CW. He did the Heroes of Tomorrow and stuff, and he did a bunch of shows on there. And me and him were talking about how every comic book advertises the shows or movies, but none of the movies or TV shows advertise the comic. And he goes, "Yeah," that drives me nuts, and stuff. I go, "Why is that?" And he goes, "It's just the market's not big enough for them to do the advertising for that and stuff." And he goes, "It really is a shame because it's something that needs to be out there a little bit more." But we just talked about that. So
it's just a small thing too. I mean, did you see the Deadpool trailer? And they had a comic in that trailer, and everybody's going crazy.
Yeah, I didn't even notice the comic, but I know what you're talking about because I saw the trailer. Wasn't paying attention to the comic or whatever, but then I heard about there was a comic book in the trailer. Now everyone wants that, and you know what? That's great. I mean, I'm not a big guy on speculation when it comes to like movies and TV shows. And I've said that in the past. I think comics have their own value. They don't need a TV show or a movie to make it valuable. I think a comic book stands on its own. Comics were valuable before movies and TV shows ever existed or ever were the thing for comic book stuff. And they always will be. I mean, maybe more so, but really, and I tell people this a lot. Black Panther comes out. It was like the #1 movie when it came out, and everyone was all excited about Black Panther. Black Panther also had a comic book at the same time, a monthly issue coming out. Did it increase the sales of Black Panther, the comic book? Barely. Like it spiked it for like a week or a month, and it sold maybe another 1,000 copies. Out of the millions and millions and millions of people that went and saw Black Panther, it only increased the sales by 1,000 for comics for the ongoing Black Panther, and then the next month it was right back to where it was. So the correlation isn't really there. So I kind of, and it was funny because I was on a panel at San Diego Comic-Con, and it was a speculation panel. And it's like, why would you put me on this panel? Because I sat out there in front of like 1,000 people and said, "Don't waste your money,"
Yeah, but I mean, your videos shows that you have the knowledge of the books, whether they're going up or down. Now, I do want to talk more about the panels and people you've talked to, but it's like where was I going? I lost my train of thought. Let's talk about that. You have been on so many panels and had so many great people that you've talked to. You've had Rob Liefeld on your show. You've had big name Donnie Cates on your show. I mean, what was?
I've kind of had Rob Liefeld on
Yeah.
the show.
It was a great attempt. Come on.
Yeah, he was there. It just didn't work out very well. But no, I've had a lot of pretty amazing creators, and I've been very lucky because I've not only have they came and like done interviews on my channel, but I've also got to host like live stuff with them at conventions and stuff over the last few years, and that was something I never thought I would be doing. I've done Chris Claremont's panel, which is like one of my all-time favorite writers for X-Men. I've done his panel like 3 times, and he's been on my channel a handful of times. Neil Adams was on my channel. He was one of my interviews I did very early on, and he was an amazing man. Donnie Cates was on a handful of times. I do a lot of creator interviews for Dynamite, whatever their books are that they got going on. So I kind of do a bunch of stuff for them. I just did one for Sweeney Boo, who's the artist for Harley Quinn, and she also does the Cruella de Vil for them. And so I kind of, I've kind of gotten used to doing these interviews and stuff like that, and I don't like doing celebrity interviews, although I've done a few of those in the past. Like I did Elvira in correlation to her Dynamite book, and I was really nervous interviewing Elvira, to be honest. But as far as creators go, I've been very fortunate because I've got to be able to have a lot of the legends that I grew up reading and enjoying their artwork on the channel. And there's more to come. I mean, there's, I'm pretty, I'm not trying to sound conceited or nothing like that, but I have a pretty decent reputation in the industry for doing interviews, doing panels, and I've worked really hard at it because I struggled at first, and I kind of said, okay, this is what I can do to improve and do a good interview. And I kind of think I do a really good job when it comes to doing panels now, and I do interviews now. I think I can handle pretty much anyone as far as whatever they throw at me. So yeah, it's wasn't something I was planning on doing, but now I kind of got thrown into that, and it's pretty awesome.
What was your favorite interview?
My favorite interview I've ever done.
Liefeld.
Yeah, well, that was a quick one. The Neil Adams one that holds a special place for me, to be honest, because that was my son was there and he was recording it, and I kind of got to. My son didn't know who Neil Adams was, and then I kind of let him know who this is, and what he did and everything. So then he was pretty amazed. Then Neil talked to my son afterwards for a little bit. So that one's pretty special. And I had fun with, when the last time Donnie Cates came on my channel, and this was a couple of years ago, we just literally just hung out and took live questions from the audience for like an hour, and we just goofed around, and that was a lot of fun, And so I'd say probably the Neil Adams one, but there's been a lot. Jim Shooter was another one, Jim Starlin, Chris Claremont, and the panels. As far as panels are a little bit different because I don't really record my panels that I do, because I've done probably a few dozen panels. I just did one. I can't remember the guy's name. He does. What was the one he did? I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, this one I did at the last one I did at MayorCon, whatever that guy's name was, it was a good panel. I literally did 6 panels that day in a row. It was like one after another after another after another. I was hosting because I was like just kind of going through the motions. But whatever his name was, he was pretty good, and I enjoyed that. So, and I think that was the writer for the like I was telling you, the writer for Arrow. He did some other TV shows like The Practice. He did shows like Brothers and Sisters and a few other things. So, and he also wrote the script for the Wolverine video game that came out a few years back. It was really good. We talked about that as well.
So, like I said, I did want to circle back. How was it that these big names like Dynamite and whatnot, did they get a hold of you? Did you go search them out? what was the process of getting the sponsors that you did? I mean, if you don't mind me asking.
At the very beginning, I kind of started reaching out, putting some feelers out there. My first sponsor was called Max Pro Supplies, and they were a local company that was just about 20 miles away. And they were for my first official sponsor, and I pretty much just advertised for them in exchange for product, which was backing boards and bags and stuff like that. So it worked out pretty well. So I was reaching out to them, and then eventually that flipped. After a while, it's just kind of recognition. It's like, okay, people are looking, oh, what's this show? What's this coffee and comic show and stuff? So then Comics on Coffee reaches out to me, and so they send me some product. And a lot of it starts with people sending me product, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And for a long time, I just did stuff for exchange for products. For the first 3 years, I didn't take any money. Just so everyone knows, for the first 3 years of doing YouTube, I'm pretty sure I didn't take any money. I can't remember. Yeah, I didn't take any money at all from any sponsorship. It was all either.
I'll take money if they give it to me. I'll take it.
Yeah, it was all like they'd send me some product and stuff. I'd either keep it or give it away or whatever it was. And then eventually, I was like, build up such really good relationships with these companies. I was like, hey, I got to start charging you for these things. I'm going to be doing some more stuff. And literally, I went these companies that said, they go, you should have asked us a couple of years ago. We would have been paying you the whole time. I go, yeah, I kind of figured that. They're like, but I built some really strong relationships. And then with Whatnot reached out to me, and they were pretty much reaching out to quite a few people at the time. And it was just a matter of me like turning them down, like over and over and over. And then finally they heard about me doing the bus, and they really got excited, and they just kind of presented an offer to me I couldn't refuse. And I was like, okay, let's do this. And so that's kind of how the Whatnot started up. And then Whatnot and I were under contract for about a year. I did a video about that a while back, and there was some bumps in the road. And I don't really like to dwell on the past. I wish them the best of luck, and I appreciate what they did for me, but I don't have any desire to ever do any more work with them, to be honest. And but I wish them the best. You're
with Dynamite. They have a great stable, if you will. The Experience is an awesome channel. I love watching it. Of course, Indie Comic Network is a great channel, which is hosting me on their network. Geek Out is sponsoring us, which has been a blessing. So, I mean, it's always great to, reach out to people, see what's going on, and see how you can help each other. I always thought.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. You never know if you don't ask. You're surprised. I mean, my relationship with Dynamite was because Nick Barucci, the owner of Dynamite, literally gave me a $200 super chat in one of my live streams and said, "Call me." And that's how it started. That's how I was like, and I had to look it up. I was like, who's Nick Barucci? I looked up who it is. And that's how it started. And then we've been doing stuff together. I mean, officially I've been with them for about a year, but we've done stuff in the past unofficially, but now they take care of, they sponsor the bus and all that stuff. So, I mean, it just, who knows how long that relationship lasts. Maybe lasts for as long as I do this. Maybe it ends tomorrow. You never know. But
it's great to hear that all this came from like a hobby of just doing a few shows, and now you're getting sponsors, you're going to conventions, you're hosting these panels with such great creators. Of course, I just started a couple of years ago. We just started. What is it that we should look forward to in this industry? I mean, what is it that we might be missing that you could tell us to look for?
Well, first off, I want to say hi to Michael. He's in the chat right there. He's a friend of mine and an author too, by the way. He's written some books, and I have one on my bus right now. It's one of the space on the bus is very limited, but his did make it. But as far as like what to expect, you get what you put into it. I mean, if you get an opportunity that comes your way, don't turn it down. And that's kind of, I went to a Comic-Con, didn't know, and I had no idea that they were going to ask me to host the Chris Claremont panel. I'd never hosted a panel before. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I wasn't going to say no,
Right?
you know. And I was going to say, I said, yeah, sure, I can do that. And that's exactly what I said. And then I went in the corner and just started shaking a little bit and trying to, like, I don't know what to do. What do I do, you know? And just kind of figured it out. But the best thing to do is just, if you get an opportunity that comes your way, you got to take it and you just kind of do it. And who cares? I tell people all the time, if you fail, so what, man? So what? I mean, at least you tried it. My panel with Chris Claremont, man, that first one, it was a failure. It was horrible. He ran all over me on that panel, and I didn't know what hit me. It was like a truck. I was like, this is the worst. And but I learned from it. I go, okay, that's not going to happen again. I go, this is how it is. And then since then, I hosted another panel with him, and I pretty much put him in his place. You know, we had fun. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot better panel, more informative, and very very fun. But I mean, there's a lot of really good people out there. You'll run into some schmucks along the way, you know, that are kind of jerks.
This right here is a great guy. He's Unstoppable Comics. He's got about, man, I don't even know how many comics he's got out, but you got to check some of his stuff out. If the audience, if y'all haven't checked out Unstoppable Comics, all roads begin and lead to Unstoppable Comics.
There you go.
So, okay, I remember the question I was going to ask you earlier, and I forgot.
Okay. Matthew, hello, Matthew.
This is a question that I told you if you wanted to wave off, you could. You made a commercial or a small preview, if you will, on Instagram, I think, and it was talking about Roadhouse.
Okay, yeah.
Man, I think this looks good.
You know what? Here's the thing. Roadhouse, the original Roadhouse to me has a special place for me because I saw this movie in the theater with my best friend at the time. His name is Damon. And my mother and my stepfather took us to see this movie. They had no idea Roadhouse was Roadhouse, okay? And if anyone has seen Roadhouse, it's not a movie you take your young kids to, all right? So I say this all the time. Me and my buddy Damon went in the Roadhouse boys, and we came out men, okay? That's what that movie did. So to me, it's sacred. Roadhouse is sacred. They made a sequel to that movie as well. It's garbage. Don't look at that. But the remake of Roadhouse, and I don't know if it's a remake or whatever you want to call it. You know, all I know is that they're actually using lines from the original movie in this new version. Okay, and if it's good, great. If people enjoy it, that's great. Maybe it'll do the same thing for a young kid that it did for me back in the day.
See,
but also, yeah,
I'm hoping this one sees it and maybe shows interest and says, "Hey, let me see the Patrick Swayze one." Because I admit,
just show him the Patrick Swayze one.
Half the time he won't watch these old classics that I tell him are good.
Let me think.
Just show him the Patrick Swayze one, man. Pain don't hurt, kid.
Bueller said you had to watch it now.
Jesus. Every boy should watch that movie on the way out of the womb.
But I gotta say, I think it looks good. I'm gonna watch it.
It might be good. It very well could be a good movie. I'm not saying it's bad. Obviously, I've not seen it. I'm just saying that, you know, Patrick Swayze, and my heart goes out to the man. He died a horrible, painful death, in case people forgot about that. And it's one of his movies that just, like, you know, it's interesting to see that type of movie back then and what they can do now as far as, like, can they get away with some of the same stuff they did back in the day? I don't think they can, you know. But, you know, maybe I'll just watch it just for Dylan's sake.
Yeah, for Dylan's sake, you should watch. Yeah. But so, okay, one of the big movies that one of the big movies I'm waiting for is Civil War. Have you seen commercials for this?
Yeah, I saw it, and I think it's kind of dumb. Really? And yeah, because like here's the thing about America, okay, and a civil war breaking out in America. Everyone's families are scattered all throughout the United States.
Right.
It's not like, oh, people don't know each other in Nevada that live in Florida. Everyone has family everywhere. We're all over the place. We have huge families and more ways to connect than ever before. So do I ever see something like that happening? No, it's not. Yeah, we had a civil war. That was a whole nother time thing. You might have a brother, all the way across on the other side of the country that you never knew of or whatever. But now we got the ancestry.com, man. I mean, we're connected everywhere. So I like here's another movie that they redid, but like Red Dawn, that was one of my favorite movies back. That was the Patrick Swayze movie. They redid that one. I didn't care for that. The original one was my favorite.
So we talked about this on the last show with our last guest. We were talking about the new Ultimate Marvels. Have you heard about all that and all the spec stuff going on with the Black?
I've seen that they're just they're just cover price, and they're going way for more than cover price, and they're just regular the A copies. I haven't really been to a comic shop in quite some time, so I haven't picked up any of them. Marvel does send me digital copies of all their books, and I haven't looked at them, but I've heard that the story is really good and the artwork is really good, and that's kind of what's driving these sales. So I'm hoping that's the case, because that's why I said this earlier. I think of the value of a book should be based on what's inside of it, not because of something from the outside of it. So,
yeah, no, I agree. But the speculation is crazy, and I think they were saying that the Black Panther one came out, but they had lost like thousands of them before they got to the LCS, which was
a
little.
I don't know. I kind of heard somewhere where that nobody's really verified that yet, but it could have happened. So
I don't know if that was just to help the spec, and I think it was. But that was just my opinion. I don't know. Like I said, we talked about it a little bit. We actually got our hands on a few of them before they.
I didn't get to read them though. They sold so quickly.
He bought 3 copies and didn't read.
Oh wow!
And he read everything.
I know a lot of people kind of like, as far as like, they kind of get down on specs sometimes, and I think if you kind of go back in time a year or two ago, it seemed like there was speculation, like multiple books like every week. And every week it's like, oh, there's like 3 or 4 spec books every week. And that was a little much. And that was a little like, what are they talking about? And now, a couple years later, here we are. And now we get maybe 1 book a month, at the most, maybe 2 a month. And I think that's just about right. So I enjoy kind of the spec right now. I think this is well-earned speculation, not just throwing stuff out there and saying, oh yeah, it's a spec book and stuff. So, but people still complain about that. They like, oh, that's don't fall for the FOMO. I was like, let me have a little bit of FOMO. Let me enjoy it something every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, like the Thundercats they're selling out. It keeps the industry going. Keeps a little bit of interest in there, which I think is a good thing. Whether it's
stuff, the Transformer stuff, that stuff is doing really well also. So,
I mean, whether it's a big name comic or whether it's an indie comic, it's good to have an interest in comics somehow, some way. So, speaking of big names and indie comics, are there any indie comics that you were into lately, or is there anything that we should keep an eye out for?
The book that I still enjoy seeing when I get a chance to pick it up is Ice Cream Man. And those are all standalone stories as well. They have kind of like a reoccurring character in the book. But I've really enjoyed that one. Like I said, I haven't really been to too many comic shops as of late, and because I've just been kind of on the road and doing some things. But I am interested in, I don't know if you want to call them indie books, even though it's Image and stuff, but I am interested in the G.I. Joe Transformer stuff. The last comic shop I went to, I picked up Duke 1 and 2, first, second print, whatever it was. I picked up a couple G.I. Joes. I think I picked up Cobra Commander and a couple Transformers. I kind of wanted to get into that universe again. Ghost Machine, I actually picked up a copy of Ghost Machine. I have it somewhere, and the Thundercats as well. But my main interest right now when I get to some more shops, when I get back to more of a place where there are shops, is I want to get kind of into that GI Joe stuff, because that's I've always enjoyed GI Joe, and it's not, it's just like 2 or 3 titles that you can grab and you're good. You don't, there's not like a bunch of titles for it. There's like 2 or 3 and you can get those and you're caught up. So I did like Fire and Ice, but it's Fire and Ice from Dynamite. I like the first one. I like the second one, but they're a little sporadic on when they're coming out. So I don't know what the deal is. So the first one came out, then it was like 3 months later, the second one came out. Now I don't even know when the third one's hitting. So I wish that wasn't the case, because I enjoyed those so far.
Yeah, and like I said at the beginning of the show, there's tons of great books on Kickstarter. We mentioned 2 of them. One other one I want to mention is Ego Raven, which is a proud comic that is produced by Indie Comic Network. So, I mean, check that out on Kickstarter today. There's hundreds of books out there, whether it's indie, big name, or Kickstarter. Tons of them out there to check out.
Yeah.
I like to kind of keep the show to about an hour. So, and before we get to promoting him, is there any place that people could get a hold of you? Is there anything that you want to mention?
Well, I do want to mention that on Monday night, actually on Monday, I'm going to be on Scott Vaughn's channel. And sorry, I got a hair on my tongue. Sorry about that. So Monday night, I'm going to be on Scott's channel. Then after that, me and Bob from the coffee show, we're going to be doing a live show together this coming Monday night. And we're going to kind of reminisce about the comics and coffee show that we did together. And just kind of, people kind of been asking what Bob's doing. So just kind of get caught up. So that'll be kind of fun to have him on there. I do have kind of a coffee reunion. It doesn't mean we're doing more coffee videos. We'll talk about that on there. That doesn't mean that eventually when I go back to Oregon and settle down that we don't revisit it. That could happen someday. You never know. But we'll mention some more stuff. And I am been planning on doing another show. I've been writing the script for it and stuff like that. It's going to be a weekly show, and I'll probably say more about that on Monday. I don't know if anyone's going to like it. It's kind of going to be a little bit more edgy, I guess you'd say, or maybe kind of dickish. Is that a word?
I think so. I think there's been people.
That's kind of what we're going for this new show. And so I wrote the script out for it, or the intros and the outros and stuff. I was like, oh man, people are gonna hate this, or they're gonna love it. And we're gonna have some fun with it, because it's gonna be kind of my sense of humor on top 10 speculation weekly lists and stuff like that. So
what bookstores are you hitting next? What are your next conventions that you're going to be at?
When are you coming back to Texas?
Soon, you let me know when it snows and I'll be there. But here's the thing. This year kind of got thrown out of whack, to be honest. My original plan was to kind of be where I'm at right now. I'm in Arizona during the summertime because it's nice here. It's sunny and stuff. And then I was going to head up to Canada and go up through Canada and go through up through Washington State, drive all the way across Canada and come out in New York. And I was going to do that for a couple months. But my daughter informed me that she's expecting her first child on New Year's. And so with that, there's a lot of stuff going on, a baby shower and stuff going on in July and stuff I really want to be there for and present for. So right now my schedule is kind of in flux. I don't know if I'm going to make it to Canada because it's a big commitment to do that and stuff. And it's right in the middle of like when the baby shower is and when all this other stuff's going on, because this is my first grandchild, so I'm pretty excited, to be a part of this. So I'll probably be spending more time in the Colorado or Denver and New Mexico and maybe Texas as well. But I'll probably be more so in that part of the country after probably April, something like that. So, and but I don't know as far as any conventions on my list, just because of that, honestly, just because it kind of threw everything sideways for what I wanted to do. So I just kind of like whatever shows up and presents. Like I said before, if an opportunity presents itself, I'll say yes. And like that's what happened to San Diego Comic-Con. San Diego Comic-Con called me. The people at the panel called me 10 days before the con, said, "Hey, would you like to be a guest and be on a panel here?" And I was like, "You know what? Sure, I'll do it." Didn't hesitate. I just said, "Sure, let's do it." I booked my plane ticket that day, got a hotel the next day, and I was there. And I got a chance to go to San Diego Comic-Con. Just no hesitation. So,
well, I hope we get to do a convention soon. I do want to bring up a spotlight, an item from his eBay store, which is Hardest Working Kid in Comics on eBay.
See if I can see this.
He usually shows at least one item that he has featured there, and this is a foil cover. It's a New York Comic-Con exclusive kind of thing, and I don't remember what issue of Spider-Man that is, but it is a foil cover.
But it looks really good.
Is it 300?
Is it 300?
We shall check.
Oh, he's checking it.
We shall check.
Oh, he's checking. I don't think it's 300.
I don't think so either.
But it is very beautiful with that holographic cover that Spider.
33.
30. I was close. had a 3 in it.
All right. So I think that's all we got for today. You hold on where we'll say our goodbyes, which is, who are you?
Hardest Working Kid in Comics.
And that is one of my biggest inspirations. That's Bueller right there. Thank you for stopping by. My name is Paul Gomez. I am Paul Gomez 790 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And as I've always said, it's okay not to be okay, but don't live there. If you don't have anybody to talk to and are looking for someone, Paul Gomez 790 on Facebook. You can reach out to me anytime. And until next week, if it concerns comics, it concerns me. Thank you. Thank you all for being here.